Well, if one of our loved ones should ever find themselves in the hospital in need of blood or blood plasma, we are so thankful for a supply of uncontaminated blood to help us out. But where does it come from and how does the process work? Well, to talk about this in more detail, I'm bringing in Brenna Scott. She's the Business Development Manager with the Lethbridge Canadian Blood Services Blood Plasma Donor Center. Welcome to Bridge City News again, Brenna. Great to have you on.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. Okay, so maybe first explain why blood and blood plasma donations are so important.
Well, you never know when a loved one or yourself you're going to require a blood or plasma donation. So we really want to make sure that Canada's Lifeline is strong and we have what's needed for any health conditions that Canadian patients might have either now or in the future as well.
hmm Maybe like explain what blood plasma is exactly. How does it differ from regular blood that someone might want to donate?
So plasma is a protein-rich yellow liquid that helps blood components like your red cells, your white cells, and your platelets circulate throughout your body. Plasma is 55% of your total blood volume, and what it does is it helps your body repair and heal tissue and helps fight infections.
Okay, so it's better to fight infections with the plasma instead of with the blood, basically?
Certain infections, so a lot of chronic health conditions, for example, kidney disease, liver disease, nervous system disorder, they require the medications that are made from plasma to help fight these chronic health conditions that they do have.
Okay, now that's fascinating. Now, is there a process that a patient has to go through in order to be administered, like in order for plasma to be administered to patients? What's the process there?
Absolutely. So once our plasma is collected, it's all sent to our fractionator. First, it's frozen, and then it's sent to our fractionator and made into medications. This process of making it into medications does take about 9 months. So it's made into these plasma protein products medications, and the most common one is IVIG. And once that medication is made, then it is given to the patients for whichever health condition they have.
Okay, so plasma is actually made into medication.
Yes,
That's,
our plasma here is, yeah.
yeah, that is wild. Absolutely. Now, does plasma have different types, kind of like blood types? We always hear of like A positive and B. Is plasma the same?
It is not. So for plasma, there aren't any types. It's all just pooled together. But if people are interested in knowing what blood type they are, when they come in for that first donation, after they donate, they will find out within 48 hours what their blood type is as well. Because I know people always like to know which blood type they are.
Yeah, exactly. So, who maybe is not able to donate plasma? Are there certain restrictions?
There are certain health conditions that might defer you from donating plasma or whole blood, but there usually are, just because you're not able to donate whole blood, you still might be able to donate plasma. For example, if you've had malaria, you cannot donate whole blood, but you can donate plasma. So we always encourage, if you have certain health conditions, to check out our website at blood.ca or call our 188 to donate to check if their health condition is able to donate, as well as their medications. There might be certain restrictions. For example, if you're on a certain medication, you might be deferred for a short period of time, but not forever. Or if you're pregnant, you'll be deferred until after 6 months after you've had the baby. Certain restrictions like that are in plasma as well.
Okay. So, Brenna, let's talk about how a person can go about donating plasma. I'm assuming it's the same process as giving blood. Maybe walk us through that a little bit.
For sure. So first you'd book an appointment either on blood.ca, calling 188 to donate, or coming in, booking an appointment in person. You want to make sure that you have a piece of government issue photo ID with you, and then you're also really well hydrated, not just the day of, but it's also the day before. Then you would come in and you'll do a screening questionnaire. If you've donated whole blood, it is very similar to that. After you do this questionnaire, you'll be brought into the screening room with our plasma associate. They'll go through the questionnaire with you. They'll ask if you're on any medications. They'll go over any health conditions you have. Then you're brought over to the donor bed. It's still just the one needle in your arm, and then your blood comes out as normal, and it actually spins in a centrifuge beside the donor, and that centrifuge spins the plasma out of your blood. We keep the plasma, and then your red blood cells and your platelets are all given back to you through that same needle. So we do that back and forth process, kind of like dialysis, until we get a full plasma donation. And how much you're able to donate is based on your height and weight. So, a very tall, for example, football player might be able to donate more than, a small 5 foot tall female. And then after you donate, it takes about 35 to 40 minutes on the donor bed. We'll have you sit for 5 minutes afterwards just to make sure you're feeling okay. And then you'll get some great snacks and we'll send you on your way.
Right. So it sounds like a little bit more of a tricky process than just donating blood. So I would assume that it takes longer as well.
Exactly, yes. We do say set aside about an hour to be in the donation center, which we realize is, more time than it would be for whole blood. You're on that donor bed about 35 to 40 minutes.
Okay, actually, that's not bad considering it's almost like you're giving yourself a blood transfusion there. That's kind
Yeah,
of
it's a very
wild.
different process. And,
Yeah.
when people see plasma for the first time, it is interesting to see because you're used to seeing your whole blood, that deep red color, but your plasma is this yellow kind of straw colored or liquid gold, as we call it. So it is
Yeah.
different to see for that first time for sure.
That's bizarre. Compared to how long does it take to just give regular blood? It's more like
That
20
process
minutes or
is
so, right?
absolutely, yeah. So you're in the screening room the same amount of time, but on the donation bed, 10, 20 minutes. So it's definitely a little bit longer in plasma.
Okay, that's so fascinating. So how long can donated plasma be stored? What's the shelf life for it?
That's one of the things that's great about the plasma we collect because there is no shelf life because all the plasma that we collect is all sent to our fractionator and made into medications. So we use all of it. So it's a little bit different than whole blood that has that shelf life. We need to keep that whole blood at a certain level because we don't want to have too much, but we don't want to have not enough for patients. Where plasma, anything we collect, we are able to use to be made into those medications.
Okay, and on the flip side, how long can whole blood be kept?
Whole blood, I don't have the number off the top of my head. I believe it might be in the 40 to 50-day range, but I don't have
Wow.
that info. Yeah, so
Okay, no,
definitely different.
totally fine. And just curious, how have residents of Southern Alberta responded to the new plasma donor center?
We've had a really great response from the Lethbridge community. We were definitely a little nervous because we did open during COVID, right at the heat of that pandemic. We opened in December 2020, but we have had a we've had about 3,100 residents come in to donate plasma, but we are really hoping to get that number to about 4,000. So that's our goal for the next year is to have 4,000 donors within Lethbridge.
That's amazing. So with that said, how many of us actually do donate plasma? What's the percentage of the population? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know that we bring in 1,200-ish units of plasma a month. So
Okay.
we, get about 12,000, a little bit more a year.
Right.
But across the population, right now we do have 9 donor centers. So we do have the most donors in Lethbridge, Sudbury, and Kelowna because those were our first 3 sites that we opened. And then we've recently opened other ones all across Canada. Actually, within the last month, we've opened one in Windsor.
Okay.
So we're definitely building up that donor base across Canada, which is really important because right now we've seen in the past number of years the need for plasma really increase, not just in Canada, but within the world as well. So we're really trying to become more stable and self-sufficient here in Canada and less reliant on the United States in that global market.
Oh, certainly, absolutely. And you were saying your goal is sort of 40,000, that range in the next year?
Oh, our goal is 4,000 donors within Lethbridge, yes, in the
Within
next
Lethbridge.
year.
Okay. So with that said, how many units of plasma do we actually need for Lethbridge? How much, compared to how much for the whole country?
We need about 15,000 units of plasma for the year in Lethbridge.
So, Brenna, what stops people from donating? Are people maybe scared to be around needles? I can see people being a little squeamish about that.
There's definitely a few factors that go into when people might not donate. The fear of needles might be one of them. And also, I think it's the fear of the unknown. People are pretty comfortable with a whole blood donation. You know what to expect, but plasma is still relatively new. We have a lot of people that don't know what plasma is and they don't know the process. So I think really explaining that process, bringing them in for a tour, our staff are excellent at explaining each step of the process to make sure they're comfortable. But we do have a number of people that have gotten over that fear of needles. They still come in to donate anyway because they know how important it is. And then after they have the needle in, we'll cover it up and kind of tilt the machine away from you so you don't have to watch it if you don't want. And then we try to distract them. We have TVs in the center. We have nice cozy blankets. We have games. So we try to make it as great of a donor experience as possible to really kind of thank them for coming in.
Right. Keep them distracted for sure. And then
Exactly.
entice them with the cookie at the end or whatever it is. After giving plasma, I'm just curious, is there I know you let them rest and you give them some sugar, but are there more risk factors after giving plasma compared to blood, or is it worse? I shouldn't say
We
worse,
actually
but for giving blood.
We've actually found that donors aren't as tired after giving a plasma donation because you're getting those red cells back.
That's,
So
yeah.
because of that, they don't feel nearly as tired, and your
Okay.
body is able to regenerate plasma within 48 hours. So even if you
Wow.
donated every week, that would be completely safe to do so. And we do have a number of donors that do come back on a weekly basis.
Oh, that's amazing. No, that's great. Thanks for answering that. And, of course, also, Brenna, people might also ask, how safe is our plasma today? Like, does each and every donation actually go through some tests?
Absolutely. So anyone that donates, we do take a couple vials of your whole blood, and it's all sent to our testing site in Calgary. So everyone is tested. If by chance that we find something in your blood that you're sick, or we find any kind of health condition, we will quarantine that plasma unit and not use it. So it is incredibly safe to donate plasma, and it's incredibly safe the process and testing that goes through before we have it made into medications for Canadian patients.
Okay, great. And how are you doing there for volunteers here in Lethbridge? Is there a certain need in that department?
There's definitely a need for more volunteers. We do have a number in center, but we do have a few open spots still. And we do find usually we need some more in the summer because some of our students that do volunteer with us go home from university or college in the summer. So we kind of find that need as well. As well, and in the summer, we have community volunteers. So we try to be at a number of events in the community in the summer to help promote plasma, whether that be at Whoop Up Days or the farmers market or any kind of big events that are happening. So we always have that need to kind of bring in a couple new faces to help us with all those activities this summer.
Wonderful. And if any viewers here in Southern Alberta would like to donate a plasma, where should they go and who should they call?
A couple different ways that you can book that plasma appointment. You can do so by downloading our free Give Blood app. You can book online at blood.ca. You can call 188 to donate, or you can just stop by in person. Often we do have same day appointments available. So if you're over in the area, perhaps you're shopping at HomeSense, you can pop right by and we'd be able to take you.
Brenna, is there anything else you'd like to add that I didn't get to ask you?
Oh, I guess I will say one of the recent changes that we've had at the beginning of December in Canadian Blood Services is there used to be a deferral for people that lived in the United Kingdom or Ireland or France during that mad cow outbreak. And it used to be a deferral for both whole blood and plasma. And we've done a lot of research and studies into that. And at the beginning of December, we took that deferral off. So if you did live in those areas in the past, you are able to donate now. And that was a common question we got in the community of, they've lived in Canada for X amount of years, but we still weren't able to take them. So we are excited to hopefully bring in some new donors that have been deferred for years, and hopefully they'll give us a chance and try plasma.
Oh, that's wonderful news. Well, Brenna, thanks so much for being with us today. Appreciate having you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's always a good educational piece there. Thanks so much for that. Brenna
Of
Scott.
course.
Yeah, Brenna Scott is the Business Development Manager with the Lethbridge Canadian Blood Services Blood Plasma Donor Center. I'm Jeannette Rocher on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks so much for watching.